everybody, this is Mrs. Anderson, and this is Master Math Mentor, Section 5, the algebraic approach to limits. And so this is obviously going to be our classwork and our notes all put together. And the first thing to remember is up here at the top, we don't want to spend a lot of time graphing these functions. So all these functions here we could graph, but we don't have time to do what we did in the section before, which is to graph and then see where the holes are and if there's an asymptote. So we have some algebraic techniques that don't depend on the graph, which are going to require us to kind of go back into Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 and remember how to do some stuff. Not hard as long as we follow the steps that I'm going to lay out. So our first thing is always the easiest thing, and that's going to be to plug in A. Step 2, if plugging in A doesn't work, sometimes we're going to have to factor out and cancel. When that doesn't work, we may be checking for if it's reaching infinity or negative infinity, or in our world it doesn't exist, or it's indeterminate, which when we hit indeterminate, we then find out that we're going to have something called L'Hopital's rule to possibly help us out. So any problem, we're going to start by plugging in. So what's important here is that we always start with our notation. So the limit as x approaches -2, okay? And I would rewrite that x squared minus 4x plus 1. And then again, I'm going to write again the limit as x approaches -2. And I have -2 squared. Oops, you know what? I lied. Let's not do that. So once we rewrite it, and I'm going to switch pens as well. Once we rewrite it, we can just plug it in. So this is going to equate to this, and we want to be careful using that. Not everything equates, so don't get too carried away. Remember, this is going to be in parentheses, -2 squared minus 4 times the -2 plus 1. Then underneath, -2 squared is a 4. 2 negatives multiplied together is a positive, plus 1, and is 13. So yes, on our AP test, you will have a calculator, though we will not be using calculators on tests in class where possible. So you do need to know how to do basic skills without a calculator. All right, so now we're going to plug in -1 into this rational function. So we have the limit as x approaches -1. And again, I'm going to rewrite this 2x minus 6 over x minus 1. And I have 2 times -1 minus 6 over -1 minus 1. -2 minus 6 is -8 over -2, which is a positive 4. We're also going to have stuff with trig functions, so we can't forget those guys, okay? So again, writing our notation, they will take off points on the AP test if you do not have this notation. So make sure you always are writing with limit to start. 2 cosine of x minus x over x plus 2. In this case, we're plugging in pi. So we have 2 cosine of pi minus pi over pi plus 2. Now, sometimes during a test, you're going to notice you get a little nervous or scared. So all we're going to do is we're just going to draw this right here, and I'm going to put 0 degrees, and I'm going to put pi. Okay? This is going to be 1, 0, and this is -1, 0. So I have 2 times -1 minus pi over pi plus 2. So that's going to become -2 minus pi over pi plus 2. Now, you can leave it here, okay, but sometimes we need to be prepared, especially in multiple choice, that they may have done some extra work. And I can actually pull a negative out of both of those guys. So if I pull that negative out, I have pi plus 2. And I just double check if I run a negative through, I have it all. And then I look and I'm like, hey, I can cross those out. And my answer is -1. Now, as a teacher, it's really easy for me to kind of squeeze in stuff because I know what I'm trying to get for you guys. But ultimately, it's usually better to be doing some of this work on notebook paper just to make sure that we can get it done. So that is our very first thing that we just took care of, plugging in the value. Okay, so that is always our go-to thing before we do anything else. Best of luck.